What's crack lacking? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So we're back again once again, and this time we're going to go over the first wave of free agency. It's kind of calmed down after the Dory Jackson signing, so I'm going to give you my grade so far on this first wave of free agency for each team. But go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave that thumbs up if you enjoy the content. Go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think, how you think your team fared in this first wave of free agency, and just indulge in the nice, sensual, beautiful football discourse that happens down there. So I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and get on to the diggity gosh darn thing. And you're going to see right above me, that's right, use code BROSHMO if you like the mock draft, because if you're tuning into the channel, you must love the NFL draft. Well, there's this mock draft simulator called Walk the Mock, where you can actually draft against people in real time. Now you gotta become a premium member to do that, and if you use the code BROSHMO, all caps, uppercase, baby, then you get 20% off whether you want to do it monthly or yearly. We do these mock drafts twice a week, sometimes 3 times. We're going to start doing a lot more as the draft gets closer. So if you want to take part in that draft against me and some of the other viewers here on the channel, then go ahead and do that. But let's do this thing. I have these grades. You got A, B, C, D, and NA. NA is just basically if the team didn't really make any moves throughout free agency, whether they couldn't or stuff like that, where if they weren't really active. So I left that available. I don't think it's fair to grade that. A, obviously being best. D, if I think it was abysmal. C, if I don't feel really good or bad about it, if it was like it's a neutral thing. And of course B, if I'm like, they were good moves, they could have been better, but they were good moves. So you kind of get how this goes. We're doing a tier maker. It's just the easiest way to present this. So I'm going to scroll down. We're going to go in alphabetical order. We're going to start with the Arizona Cardinals, and with the moves they made. They actually made a couple moves today to help out with the line with Max Garcia. Brian Winters, actually, I kind of like that pickup as well. But the big moves, of course, AJ Green. I don't think he really helps stretch the field. That's what I really think this offense needs. They need someone that can stretch the field, that can be a real downfield threat. You might be like, well, Andy Isabella. Well, they don't use him in that manner. That's the problem. I think during the second half of the season, a lot of teams really just started sort of stacking the box and just playing to the shorter intermediate level. And it's a real shame when you have someone like Murray, who has just a cannon for an arm. You really need to take advantage of that. I don't think they really did that in free agency. I like the Courtney Hudson trade, the pickup. It cost him a 3rd rounder. He is a bit older. You can say the same thing about AJ Green. You can say the same thing about JJ Watt. So I'm not wild about those moves, but they were upgrades. They were necessary. I do like that they went out and decided to upgrade some of their positions of weakness. Bring back Beachum, I thought was solid. So overall, I thought they did what they needed to. While I wish they could have been more active with corner. We'll probably see that in the draft, corner and maybe more of a vertical threat. We'll probably see that in the draft. But in terms of what they did in free agency, where are the Cardinals? Speak of the devil. Oh, there they are. So I'm going to give it a B. That's just kind of how I'm feeling. Could have been better, but I think they did pretty well with what was given to them. Next, we're going to go over the Atlanta Falcons. And to be honest, they were really just trying to make some room, make sure they were under the cap. I think about $123 million of their cap next year was covered by only 5 players. So they were doing a lot of restructuring. They couldn't really be active in free agency. Really the only moves they made was Brandon Copeland at linebacker, Eric Harris, 2 guys that I don't think make too much of a difference. So I'm just going to put NA just because they were kind of more so focused on trying to get under that cap rather than actually trying to make moves. So yeah, I think the draft is really going to be where this team tries to improve. The Baltimore Ravens, I enjoyed a lot of what they did. I thought the Kevin Zeitler pickup was phenomenal. This is a team that's very, very run heavy. That is the backbone to this offense, and that move was a banger. It was a banger of a move. I like the idea of bringing Tyus Bowser back, a guy who was very active in coverage, but also as a pass rusher instead of paying guys like Yannick Ngakoue, Matt Judon big money. I think they got him on a much more reasonable deal. Derek Wolf coming back was solid. I liked the trade for Josh Oliver. If that cat could stay healthy, that'll be pretty good. Overall, I think it was a quality free agency. Zeitler, I think, being the biggest move. I don't think the team improved too much, though, off of it, rather than retaining some of their guys. And Zeitler, he does help with that run offense. So yeah, I'm feeling a B there as well. I'm trying to be a bit more strict rather than just giving A's out willy-nilly like I kind of did in my past videos. So I'm gonna be a bit more like, if a team really killed it, really went out of the park, then I'll reward them an A. So there might be a lot of B's here. Maybe even C's. So don't get mad. I'm just being a bit more strict. In terms of the Buffalo Bills, I actually really liked a lot what they did. I actually, low-key, I thought the Jacob Hollister pickup, rather than trading for Zach Ertz, was really solid. Like, low-key, he's a really good player. The Mitch Trubisky kind of is what it is. Like, he's going to be a backup, so I don't mind that. Bring back Levi Wallace. Might not be loved in Buffalo, but he's a solid cornerback too. Emmanuel Sanders to replace John Brown, I thought was good. They got him on a pretty solid deal, and keep in mind they got Gabriel Davis there as well. But for the most part, it was them trying to retain most of the players. They had Vernon Butler take a pay cut, so along with Mario Addison being able to re-sign Darrell Williams, Matt Milano. I didn't really think they would have been able to retain in Felicano. I always mispronounce his last name, but who was a very good run blocker for them. But overall, I liked what they did. They didn't make any big moves, but I do think retaining a lot of their, because keep in mind this team was a Super Bowl contender, so retaining a lot of their guys should have been a priority. I thought they did a good job at that. I'm going to give them a B. Didn't make too many, like, you have Emmanuel Sanders, you have Jacob Hollister, kind of their big free agent moves. So overall, I think that was pretty solid. We're going to move on to the Carolina Panthers, and they opened free agency pretty crappy. Pat Elflein, I thought was a terrible pickup. At 3 years, $13.5 million. He's probably going to play guard. He's not better than Matt Paredes, which, I mean, Elflein, like, his best year came at center, and it was his rookie season. I thought that was a bad pickup. Releasing Zach Kerr was just like a question mark in my head. Cameron Ervin, he's nothing more than, I think, a bench, like a depth piece. I don't think he should be a starter. Denzel Perriman, though, I do like them bringing him. Hassan Reddick, that was a great deal. I think 1 year, $8 million, kind of like a prove it contract. Plus, he has some history with I think it's Matt Rule, back at Temple. So and then David Moore was actually a pretty good signing as well. And then low key Dan Arnold, Dan Arnold's actually competent tight end too. So while I didn't love everything they did in free agency, I really hated the moves on the offensive line, a place that they really, outside of franchising Taylor Moton, they didn't really do anything good of note. I don't know if that really outweighed, I don't know if the David Moore, Hassan Reddick signings really outweigh how bad those first two signings for the line was. But I am going to be gracious. I'm going to give them a C. Nah, those were pretty bad signings. I'm going to give them a D. I had a change of heart. I don't think David Moore or Hassan Reddick, I don't think that I just don't think they bring you back from those bad offensive lineman signings. I think overall those were just really bad deals. And then we have the Chicago Bears. Ugh. Maybe I might bump. I'm gonna keep the Panthers at C. Like, cause I like considering how bad like the Bears offseason was. Like, it sucked. You know that they were all in on guys like Watson, guys like and they still might be, but Russell Wilson, and they ended up getting with Andy Dalton. Like, I know Bears fans were flipping mad about this, but it's like, dude, they literally tried. They tried, and they just didn't have a plan B. They really didn't have, like, they were like, okay, I guess we can't go in the season with Nick Foles. I guess it's got to be Andy Dalton. But releasing guys like Kyle Fuller was really, really sucky. I mean, Hakeem Nicks, he's on the trade block. So is Anthony Miller. I don't know. I don't think they're going to get a long-term deal done with Allen Robinson. I firmly believe he's on the trade block as well. Mario Edwards, probably their best sign in terms of just being able to retain him. So for me, unfortunately, it's a C. Even like, I wish I could give them an E for effort, but they're gonna get a D. It's been a pretty bad offseason for these guys, unfortunately. The Cincinnati Bengals kind of felt a similar way, because I was like, these guys need to address the offensive line. They need to address the offensive line. And they just didn't early in free agency. They were pretty quiet early on in free agency. But bringing in Mike Hilton, probably one of their better moves. I didn't like the Trey Hendrickson move. I rather them, hey man, just maybe franchise. This is the thing. They bring in Trey Hendrickson and Chidobe Awuzie to replace Carl Lawson and William Jackson. I don't know. Apparently, they didn't see Lawson as a good scheme fit. He did pretty well for him last year. I think, hey, if you sign him for similar money that Hendrickson got, 3 years, $45 million for Lawson, franchise William Jackson, your best corner. But they decide. I honestly think that they got worse by spending probably more. I guess no, they didn't spend too much more, because the Jackson tag would have been way more than what they got for Awuzie. And I don't know how much Awuzie really fits their scheme. I guess we'll see. But I like the Mike Hilton pickup. And then they finally decided to actually address the offensive line with a 1-year deal with Riley Reef, who's probably going to end up moving to guard. I mean, they brought in Larry Ogunjobi, who's coming off a really down year. It's just they released Geno Atkins. Like, I don't think it's been good in particular. Like, I don't think they've had an actually good off season. Some people may really like the pickups of Hendrickson or Wizier. I think it would have been better just to try to keep the guys you had in house. I wish they were a bit more active in trying to address the offensive line. I thought they were shooing for Tooney. Apparently he didn't want to come there. I'm going to give it a D. Like I said, I'm going to be a lot less lenient in these grades, and I just can't get over the Lawson Hendrickson or the Lawson William Jackson. I just can't get over that. Instead you're going with Hendrickson or Wouzier. Like, I don't know. I think Hendrickson is a guy that kind of got overpaid in free agency too. I think he's got big bust potential, unfortunately. Then the Cleveland Browns, I love their offseason, especially some of the recent deals they got done. Like, I love the John Johnson pickup. Amazing, impeccable. It was great. Bringing in McKinley was solid. Being able to retain Higgins, and then bringing in Troy Hill to come in there and probably play in the slot. Phenomenal. Because I was a bit worried that without Terrence Mitchell, and then they lost Kevin Johnson, who was primarily their slot corner. It's like, man, they are taking a bit of a hit. I know Greedy was hurt last year, but those are two guys that really, really helped the secondary a bit. But being able to bring in Troy Hill, who's just very solid in his own right, and then Anthony Walker, I think is going to be a very low, under the radar, very good sign-in at the linebacker position. And then Malik Jackson on a cheap contract after, I love it. I think they've made all the right moves. I've been very impressed. I think this team did get better. I think that They hit it out of the park. I think they did a very good job in free agency, especially getting John Johnson at that low of a price. Just very good. Dallas Cowboys, they couldn't really do much of anything just because a lot of their cap was spent trying to bring back Dak. So they could only make some low-key moves. Like Terrell Basham, honestly, pretty darn good. I thought that was pretty darn good. I didn't like the extension to Jordan Lewis, but I get it. You're very thin at the corner position. On top of that, like the Keanu Neal, apparently they're moving on linebacker. I kind of anticipated. I think I predicted that. And he actually came in for a lot cheaper than I thought he'd get. Well, not a lot cheaper. I thought it would be 1 year, $5 million. But for what they had been given, I think it was solid enough. Like Keanu Neal, good sign in. They just couldn't really attack free agency the way they could. So it doesn't feel right giving them a B or a C. So I'm going to just put them in NA, but I do like the Keanu Neal move probably the most. Terrell Basham, low-key, good sign-in too. But yeah, I'll give them an NA, but I really do like what they did there. And then Denver Broncos, this is going to be another A. I'm just going to throw that up there right now, dude. I think they've done a great job. Kyle Fuller and Ronald Darby instantly, with Bryce Callahan, instantly become one of the best like secondaries in football. Bringing back Justin Simmons, now getting his long-term deal. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I like it a lot. Being able to retain Shelby Harris there on the interior is huge. They've just made, I think, great moves on this defense with an offense that already, like, it's kind of built for the future. They just got to kind of figure out the quarterback position. Yeah, I think they did a great job, and now they're going into the draft in a good situation to either trade up for a quarterback if they want to, or trade down or just take the best player available. I think they're going to the draft in great position. And then the Detroit Lions. Early on, I said I wasn't a big fan of the Romeo Archibald deal, but I've kind of come around to it as I talked about it in, I think, my last free agent video. Josh Hill, kind of a low-key signing, but I don't think that's going to be much of anything. Jamal Williams, kind of whatever. Like, you're bringing in a running back too. I don't think that makes that big of a difference. Michael Brockers, they literally got for dirt cheap. Then I think they ended up getting him a new deal too. But they haven't really, he ended up signing a 3-year, $24 million extension. They haven't really been able to do much. While I don't hate which they were kind of like, their cap space wasn't all that great. I really wish they would have at least franchised Kenny Golladay and then trade him. While I'm not in love with it, I don't think I get this team's in rebuild. They didn't really have the cap space to do a whole lot. I didn't like the Williams pick. I think Michael Brockers, though, was a very good move. That literally cost him nothing. And the Romeo Archibald, honestly, coming off a breakout year, I thought maybe franchise him, but then they end up signing him to a 3-year deal. He'll actually be cheaper next year than it would be on a franchise tag, and they could get out of it after 2 seasons. So I'm gonna give it a C. I think I'm a bit in between on how I feel about it. Green Bay Packers, what moves have they made? They've just literally been figuring out, they've been moving, restructuring deals. That's really been it. Outside of re-signing Aaron Jones, which I'm not a fan of. Why'd you draft A.J. Dillon? Oh, he's our running back too. You grabbed your running back 2 in the second round. That's tremendous value. Good job, Packers. So I'm just going to give them an NA. I'm going to be nice about it. Just because they haven't really been able to be active in free agency. You know what? Nah, it's a D, dude. They haven't, not bringing back Corey Lindsey, I thought was pretty huge. And it makes no sense. For me, the 2020 draft, then it makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. Why AJ Dillon in the second round if he's just going to be your running back too? I guess they can get out of the Aaron Jones deal, I think, after 2 years, so it'll be a bit cheaper. Maybe I'll bump him to C. I guess I'll bump him to C. I just don't. Nah. Yeah, no, I'll just give them NA. I'll give them a C. Yeah, I'll give them a C. I'm not in love with it, but I don't think they got any, like, the offensive line I think did take a hit. Corey Linsley was excellent last year, but I guess it could have been worse. Houston Texans. They made a lot of deals, but I don't think any of it matters. This team feels like it's already preparing for a rebuild. A lot of these were 1-year deals. Even bringing Tyrod Taylor, they traded for a third quarterback to Ryan Finley, I believe. Desmond Keen's actually a solid pickup. They also brought in Terrence Mitchell, which I kind of liked. But outside of that, like, literally, they decided to make no big splashes. A lot of these were just, like, for a team that it was as bad as it was last season. They really decided to not do anything to really improve the team. And unfortunately, with the Watson thing going down, that's the thing, dude. They weren't adamant about trading him. He's not happy there. He's potentially willing to hold out. At that point, you should just try. They should try to move on. Now it's like a lot harder to move on from him, and he might not even be able to play. So, you literally might. It's just a bad situation. I think I'll just give him a C. Because while I don't think any of the moves were particularly bad, but I don't think any of it really improves the squad. This just feels like a team in rebuild, because a lot of them are just 1 to 2 year deals. So yeah, I think a C is a fair grade. Indianapolis Colts. This team's literally just been focused on retaining their own players from last year. They had obviously the Carson Wentz trade. That's kind of a big deal, but they're able to bring back Xavier Rhodes. Only 1 year, $6.5 million. They're just focused on extended. That is the beautiful thing of drafting well, because then you have all this money. What are they gonna do with free agency? They have so much money. They could just focus on retaining their players. So they haven't been an active participant in free agency. So I'm gonna put them down here at NA. Jacksonville Jaguars. Boy, they made some moves. I think getting a 7th rounder for Josh Oliver, who was a 3rd rounder, kind of sucks, but it is what it is. At least he got something back for him. This team really spent a lot trying to get parts in place for their moving to 3-4. I loved what they did with corner, bringing back Sidney Jones. I thought was huge, who played really well down the stretch for him. Then Shaquille Griffin was just a huge move. Great move. I don't care too much for the Chris Manhertz deal. He's a blocking tight end. That's about it. He only played about 500 snaps last year. So, it's not a bad move by any means. But like I said, man, they trade in for Malcolm Brown, grabbing Tyson Alu, Roy Robertson Harris, just guys to kind of like fit along that defensive front. I don't like the Jamal Agnew deal. Essentially it's a 3-year, $14 million deal that could become a $21 million deal. But dude, you signed a special teamer. That's a lot of money for a special teamer. Not a great move. Rashawn Jenkins, 4 years, $35 million. Why couldn't you? I don't get why they didn't make a move on John Johnson. So, yeah, I'm not in love with that. Carlos Hyde's kind of a whatever pickup. So. I hated the franchise take on Cam Robinson. But there are a lot of good. Like, I think they did a good job trying to of retaining, of making the sack, at least trying to improve the secondary, especially the corner position. I think the corner position's kind of set for next year. I like that they've really dipped into trying to adjust the line for this scheme change. So I'm going to give them a C. Again, there's some bad contracts that I don't really like there, but that is a part of the game. Kansas City Chiefs. They've been busy themselves. Bring back Mike Remmers, I thought was a good move. Obviously, you have the Kyle Long, the Joe Tooney, huge pickups for the offensive line. But outside of that, man, they couldn't really do anything else. I mean, they had to get rid of Schwartz and Fisher. They're trying to get under the cap. So this is a team that's definitely going to be trying to improve through the draft. Again, the Tooney, huge pickup, but again, we'll see about how that does for them in the future in terms of that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money that they had to give up. I mean, they're already paying a lot of guys a lot. So could they be in a position like the Falcons have been the last couple of years where it's like you're paying like 5 guys just like 120 some million? So we'll see. Overall, I think they did a good job trying to improve the line. They're probably going to look to tackle in the draft. They got Lucas Naeem. I'd rather Mike Remmers as a bench player, like a guy that comes in if for injuries or as a rotation guy. So they might try to address tackle and pair Naeem with someone. So I'm going to give it a B just because I'm interested what they're going to do with the future with this. All right, let's go to the Las Vegas Raiders. They don't want to sign a safety. I don't get it. A lot of questionable moves. Apparently, giving away Gabe Jackson, Rodney Hudson, and I understand the situation with Hudson. He wasn't a big fan of them trying to move on from Jackson, so it kind of led to like just the dissembling of their offensive line. So they are bringing in a much worse offensive line next year. Andre James, they're high on him. We'll see. But they did really try to address the pass rush. I'll give them that. They tried to address the pass rush big time. We're bringing in guys like Thomas, bringing back Hankins was good. I like the Yannick Ngakoue deal. I thought that was huge. John Brown was a big pickup. That's only costing them $3.75 million. Quentin Jefferson, I thought was a good move. They literally put in a lot of money to improve that defensive front because this team don't blitz. This team just doesn't blitz. They brought back Donald Penn, who's a bit older in age, so by no means is he an answer to the future, but and then just Kenyon Drake, 2 years, $14 million. I think it may be like $11 million. Let's see. Where is the Kenyon Drake? Yeah, it's $11 million. It could get up to 14. Real expensive for a backup. So I'm gonna give that a C as well. While there are some additions that I did like on the defense. Like I thought, trying to improve the pass rush was huge. I really wish they went after like at least an Anthony Harris who went for dirt cheap to the Eagles. So, you know what, man? I don't know. Let's see. I feel a bit indifferent about. No, I think it's fair. Nah, it's not. I'm gonna give it a. Man, I'll stick with C. All right, we got the Chargers up next. I liked a lot of the Chargers moves. I thought they did a pretty darn good job. Obviously, like Jared Cook, that's not a bad like consolation prize for losing Hunter Henry. Corey Lindsey, Matt Filer, probably the big names in this free agent class. Retaining Michael Davis was kind of key. He's been a good corner too, but now, yeah, you need an actual number one corner there. But no, I think they did a lot of the right things. I'm going to give them a B. It was a good offseason for the Chargers. Oh, Rams. They just signed Deshaun Jackson, so yippee-ki-yay. But they've been really restructuring some contracts, trying to get under the cap. Keep in mind, they were $35 million over the cap. Yet they threw this huge contract at Leonard Floyd's way, right? Yeah, Leonard Floyd's way. I know he had a breakout year last year. Who doesn't, though, next to Aaron Donald? Just look at Dante Fowler. So, I don't know. It's going to be hard for him to... it's going to be hard for him to meet that expectation, I think. I think that was definitely an overpay. Retaining Darius Williams was really good. Michael Brockers traded him for virtually nothing. I'm not in love with a lot of this, but I get it. The Matthew Stafford pick, I think, warrants at least a C. So this team, very top heavy, but I don't think there's much depth to them. Along with that, not a lot of draft picks to be able to try to improve this team. They're trying to win now. So yeah, I think C is fine just because they did get better at quarterback. Miami Dolphins, they really lost out on that Isaiah Wilson deal, but it only cost them a couple of spots in the 7th round. So no biggie. Matt Sakura, I thought, that's not a bad sign if they're not going to bring back Ted Karras. Malcolm Brown, I'd rather pay Malcolm Brown than a Chris Carson, dude. Look at Chris Carson making like $6 million? Yeah, I don't want to invest that much. But there were confusing moves like releasing Kyle Van Noy and Shaq Lawson after one season. So not huge fan of that. And the Justin Coleman pick, now they're bringing him to play in the slot. So where does that leave, Noah Igbignagani? But, I mean, I like the Will Fuller pick. It's a 1-year deal. It'll be interesting to see if Tua could actually hit him deep. So, but Brissett's a fine backup. Adam Butler, it's going to be a good piece in the rotation on the defensive line. I'm just going to give us a C. Nothing spectacular from the Dolphins, but quite a few questionable moves. All right, we are going to take a look at the Minnesota Vikings. So a team also that didn't have a ton of cap, but I think they made 2 significant moves. I like the Patrick Peterson move. Now you got Cameron Dantzler on the other side. You have probably Jeff Gladney in the slot. So bringing a vet like Patrick Peterson, I thought was a very good move. I'm a big fan of the Dalvin Tomlinson move. While it's like now you kind of got 2 guys that kind of occupy a nose tackle. Might not bring necessarily great pass rush, but I like with Michael Pierce. But I think Tomlinson's a much better pass rusher than people give him credit for. So I do think they did improve on the interior. They do have some guys there that can come in a rotation and rush the passer too. Keep in mind a lot of the guys on the defensive line they're developing. The Daniel Hunter thing, it's kind of like I hope you're happy there. Sounds like he wants to do something with his deal, so hopefully that's just kind of a big nothing. But they made 2 moves. I thought they were pretty good moves. Anthony Harris, obviously a big hit, but they probably could address that in the draft. So I'm gonna give them a B. I think they deserve it. Then, of course, the New England Patriots. I'm gonna give them an A, man. They just keep making good moves in free agency. I mean, dude, Raekwon McMillan they got for dirt cheap today, or not today, but a couple of days ago. Retaining David Andrews, 4 years, only $19 million. He's probably one of the top 10 centers in the league. And literally, they just revamped that defense, bringing Kyle Van Noy for pennies of what he got in Miami. They brought back Ted Karras. This team, honestly, then obviously you got Hunter Henry, you got Jonnu Smith, you got Matt Judon. Those were great pickups. Judon, I thought he was going to get overpaid. Any other team that probably gives him this money, I'm kind of like, ugh. I think the Patriots, they can make good use of him. So there are a couple of contracts I don't like obviously Nelson Aguilar, Jalen Mills, but they could get out of those contracts after a year or 2. So I'm kind of fine with that. Cam Newton, you're paying 1 year, $5.5 million. It could go up to $14 million if he actually does well, and he has no excuse not to. So this team, they did exceptionally well for agency, and in my honest opinion, I think they put themselves to be able to move up if they want for one of the quarterbacks in this draft. I think they can. And then some way, somehow, man, the stinking Saints, they got under this. They managed to get under the salary cap because they're Houdinis. A lot of void year contracts. So Oh boy. But they don't get me wrong. They did take some massive losses, like Sheldon Rankins, trading away Malcolm Brown, among the few of the big ones. Releasing Janoris Jenkins. They really don't have a competent cornerback too on that team. But I think them just being able to get under the cap was a huge move in itself. Being able to retain Marcus Williams, granted, franchise tag doesn't count against the cap, so it's fine. But they do have a lot of decisions to make in the next few years. I think they are going to lose some significant pieces. You're kind of hoping Jameis Winston, who's kind of got a similar deal to Cam Newton, he shows up. Taysom Hill, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's competition there. Be interesting. But this team, I don't think they got any worse. So, yeah, we're going to go with a C. I think that's fair. All right. New York Giants. Let's take a gander. I really love the New York Giants, what they've done. Kenny Golladay, Dory Jackson, I would have given A's just for that. I thought that was real solid. Kyle Rudolph, he is a very good tight end too. So that was a good pickup. Ifedi Odenigbo, huge pickup for pass rush on a very, he's going to be a good rotation player there. 1 year, $2.5 million, solid. I didn't really care too much about the Devontae Booker move. I could care less about. John Ross, okay, that's nice. He stretches the field, but yeah, I mean, I'm not wild about the Leonard Williams deal. He's gonna for the next 2 years, he's gonna be getting Aaron Donald money. But again, the Kenny Golladay, Dory Jackson, huge moves. Literally, your boy Danny Dimes has no excuse. This team should be much better, especially the offensive line. Another year of development. Yeah, they're gonna be a little worse with Zettler gone, but again, this allows them to really do a lot in the draft. So, yeah, I'm a big fan. I think they did very well. Philadelphia or New York Jets, can't skip them, dude. They did very well, very good as well. Sheldon Rankins, I thought it was a good pickup. You got really all that defensive line. That is a mean rotation they got going on there now. On the interior, Keelan Cole, good slot player, pairing him up with Corey Davis, Denzel Mims. The only probably real criticism I have, because I mean, obviously the Carl Lawson deal I really liked. Jared Davis, low key, could be a good deal. They're not really investing much in him. Is in what they're doing. What are you going to do with Sam Darnold? The market's shrinking for him. It might even be dead. So I don't know what they're going to do in the draft, man. It's gonna be suspicious. But I think in terms of a team that it feels like they've been a real rebuild for a minute. But in the first offseason of Saleh, I think they've done a very good job. I think they have. All right, we're going to go to the Philadelphia Eagles now. They've really only been able to make one move because they've been moving contracts around, just trying to get underneath the cap. But I thought the Anthony Harris move was phenomenal. Getting him for literally dirt cheap. But again, they haven't been able to make a lot of moves, so I'm going to put them in NA. But I do love that Anthony Harris deal. I thought that was great. Pittsburgh Steelers, they're kind of in the same boat. Haven't been able to make a lot of moves outside of just retaining some of their guys. I mean, Juju coming back for cheap. Oh, I don't even know how they worked that out. But again, retain Cameron Sutton, I thought that's great coming back. He kind of fills in for the slot. He can play safety. There's a lot of different things for the defense, for the secondary there. That just took that Mike Hilton hit. I think that's solid. So I'm gonna put it at NA because again they couldn't really be active in free agency, but being able to retain guys like Juju, who's very good in the slot, and Sutton I thought was very clutch, very huge. San Francisco 49ers, man, I'm gonna give them an A, dude. Again, big question mark is Jimmy G, but we'll see. They're in a position where they can move up the draft as well. But they brought back Tart Wilson at safety. But the big moves for cornerback being their biggest, most glaring spot was obviously bringing back Verrett, bringing back Mosley. I think that was huge. They can still address that position in the draft if they want to. Obviously, Trent Williams, huge signing, and then pairing that up with Alex Mack. Like, this is just a very, very good team. So, again, they should be back, and just the question will be the quarterback position. But I think they had a very good free agency. And the Seattle Seahawks, another team that hasn't been really able to do anything, really just trying to retain some of their guys like Chris Carson. Traded for Gabe Jackson. That was solid. Got him for just a 5th rounder. But yeah, Pona Ford. Really, their only free agent moves have been Witherspoon from San Fran. So maybe they're able to also bring back Dunbar, who hasn't really had a big market because they did lose Shaquille Griffin. So I'm just going to put them in an NA as well. All right, let's take a look. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, dude. While, yes, they have only retained their guys, the guys that they retained is huge. Like, it's a lot different than some of these other teams. This is a team that just went to the Super Bowl, and everyone's coming back saying, let's repeat this sucker. They could still get Sue and AB back, which, again, just strengthens these guys as the favorites to win the Super Bowl next year. Bring back Gronk. Being able to sign Barrett to a 4-year deal, amazing. I don't know how they were able to work that out. Chris Godwin, he's like totally happy. Who would have guessed? Yeah, I'm happy to play on a franchise tag. Let's get me a second Super Bowl. Who would have thought? Levante David coming back for a reasonable offer. Like, I think they probably came out big winners in free agency. Then we got the Tennessee Titans. I almost said Buccaneers. I hate it. I can't believe Malcolm Butler, Dory Jackson, and then you replace them with Janoris Jenkins and Kevin Johnson with these vets, these journeymen at this point in their career, especially a Dory Jackson. Like, when he is able to be on the field, like when he's not hurt, he's one of the in my opinion, he's a top 10 corner. I thought that was just outrageous. I knew they weren't be able to bring back Jonas Smith. Unless they franchised him, it was really nothing they could do about that. And Dennis Kelly. They bring in Kendall Lamb, who's a replacement level start, bench player at best, probably. But throwing out big, I love the Danico Autry pickup, but they threw Bud Dupree has just bust sign-in written all over him. I'm a bit worried about that. But they brought Jayon Brown, who's one of the most underappreciated coverage linebackers in the league. I'm gonna give them a C. I think they. I think that this warrants a C for them. Well, I'm not in love with some of. Nah, it's a D. It's been a pretty bad offseason. You gotta imagine not being able to do a Dory Jackson, just letting him go, letting Win Healthy a top 10 corner go. That's just a bad move. Not using the franchise tag on guys like Jonas Smith. I could give the benefit of the doubt, but nah, dude, that's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So we're gonna go to the Washington football team. Dude, this team did very well in their own right as well. William Jackson, I think that it's an improvement over Ronald Darby. I think it's a better scheme fit than Ronald Darby. Huge pickup. Ryan Fitzmagic, give him a great defense, good receivers with Curtis Samuel pairing him up with Scary Terry. This team is in they're I think. With the Cowboys, they're going to be favorites in the NFC East. These guys are contenders. They're the real deal. While again, yeah, Fitzmagic, he's not a guy. He's not going to be your future. I think it definitely buys them time to think about what they're going to do there. I'm going to give it a B. Again, because the quarterback position, there's no clear idea what they're gonna do there just yet in terms of the future. But you stay contenders with a pickup like Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I like that. So it buys them time to kind of figure out what they can do here. This is a very good team that's, I think, just a quarterback away from being real contenders. But yeah, that's the list. I think overall it's pretty accurate. I'm sure people are gonna have opinions. They're gonna feel a certain way about it, but it is what it is. Thank you for hanging out with me, and until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.